The sales strategy, which I want to talk about, which I thought was going to be relevant for a few of you guys, I was liaising with another student earlier today, actually, and he is selling a property, renovated property. He's basically going to get cashed up to go and do development on his own. He had an option to do a development with an investor. The investor just had a delay. So he said, I'm just going to do it myself. And look, I've known this person, I won't say who it is, but I've known this person for a long time. He is a friend of mine, joined the program. There was no free ride when he joined the program. But look, he's selling a house, and just some considerations that I think you guys need to make when you are selling is he has taken his property to an auction campaign. He's doing it pre-Christmas. And I said to him, look, pre-Christmas is a little bit hit and miss. And I said the same thing to you, Marco, as well, because I know you're selling a property. Pre-Christmas or around Christmas is a bit hit and miss. I would say 3/4 of the time, Christmas and pre-Christmas, it's a real buyer's market in any market sense, because people are thinking about holidays, they're super busy with work, they're not really looking at properties. But I have seen some really stellar years in the Christmas selling period where it's been like the best month on like out of the 12 months. So look, it is a bit of a weird time in the market at the moment. And I think a lot of the performance from December is probably going to come down to the interest rates and what they do in the next week and a half or 2 weeks with interest rates. So that's probably going to dictate as well, because there are still a lot of buyers sitting on the sideline. There's still, an undersupply of property, all that stuff. I've got the screen up at the moment because that's where this person's property is. It's in Tallebudgera down on the Gold Coast. And the Gold Coast market, from what I've seen with particular properties, has actually taken quite a bit of a hit. It looks like, there's some areas that have probably dropped by 20%. There's still plenty of areas that have flatlined, that haven't dropped, but I have seen some luxury homes drop by about 20%, which is pretty much back to really where they should have been to start with in that Gold Coast market, and same with Sunny Coast and other suburbs or other areas that are coastal. People just got silly. They just bought overpaid for stuff. So Gold Coast has sort of come back a little bit to reality, but Tallebudgera doesn't seem to have really held back. Just to give you guys an idea, if you're not familiar with the area, it's in the hinterland of the Gold Coast, large acreage properties. Anyway, what the considerations which I asked for him to make, and you guys should be thinking about this for your own sales strategy, and think about this at the start. Don't wait till the end necessarily to think about this, but have an idea when you're looking at buying a property. You need to know how to sell it, because until you actually sell it, unless you're planning on keeping it, but if you're planning on selling it, that's actually when you get paid. You can get paid fees along the way, but ultimately your revenue, your income, if you're selling, comes from the end sale. So that's a pretty important step. Although it is, towards the end of the 7 stages, you need to have a holistic view of all of the stages, have an understanding, and then think about it right at the start. So I just want to run through a couple of key stats, which you guys need to look at. So look, I have said to use Boom Score before. I think it's really great. It's a free app, and it's got a fair bit of data that is all pretty relevant. It's drawn from the raw data, and I've used other paid sources before, and it's basically the same data. So Boom Score is linked to Stash as well. So when you look up a property on Stash, I'm just going to look up this one. This is one of the previous ones I was looking at. It gives you a Boom Score app Boom Score number down the bottom, and then a link to Boom Score. So look, Stash and Boom Score are, colluded. And I think this software is really great at pulling the raw data. So look, they've given it a 47. They reckon it's a healthy, balanced market. So, it's probably just going to stay flat, which I think is probably pretty fair to say. Keep in mind, you will only own one property. You don't own the whole suburb. So look, market absorption, it's around about, average, which means properties are, being absorbed. Well, it says slowly, making it a buyer's market, but probably call that a balanced market, really, in terms of absorption rate. Now, my student is taking his property to auction. He's got it on a 3-week auction campaign to sell it before Christmas. So 3 weeks is only 21 days. So I said to him, that's a really tight auction campaign. And anyway, it could, I think it's either going to be a hit or a miss. He's either going to get a couple of people interested that really want to buy it before Christmas, or he's going to have to relist it into the new year. So, you just never know. It could be a stellar December if interest rates don't go up by much more in the next couple of weeks, or it could be an absolute crappy time to be selling right now. So you just never know. But there are limited properties on the market there. So what I said to him was, how many days on market are the average? How many average days on market do properties sell? And I said, my guess would be 30 to 40 for that suburb. And I was actually bang on. That was just a bit of a guess. And it's around about, 30, well, it is 35. So that says to me, if I was selling into this market, I would expect to sell in 35 days. If I sold quicker than that, I'd be, ecstatic if I sold quicker. But if you do deliver a good product, you should sell quicker. If you're on the market for more than 35 days, well, then either your property is probably too high priced or you've missed the mark. So average days on market, 35 days. What that is telling me is if I did run an auction campaign, I probably would run it for at least a month, because that's the average days on market. So that's kind of like 4 to 5 weeks. Most auction campaigns are 6 weeks generally, or at least in Queensland they are. But I know a lot of them do, or I shouldn't say a lot of them, a few of them do 4-week auction campaigns. So just under 30 days. So another consideration is like stock on market, how many properties are available. But all you got to do is go to realestate.com to have a look. And then personally, I look at the surrounding suburbs, because not everybody necessarily is looking in that one suburb. They'll be looking at surrounding suburbs as well. So, I'd be looking at similar surrounding suburbs to this one, Tallebudgera. So you got Tallebudgera Valley, Currumbin. Those markets are similar. Rental yield, he's selling the property, so that doesn't really matter. And he's probably going to sell it to an owner occupied. That makes a difference because, as long as owner occupiers can afford a property, if you've got 2 owner occupiers and they really want the property, they're going to fight over it. So that, that can create a bidding war at auction. And the other consideration is vacancy rates, but I mean, that's with rental as well. So just some consideration. So he was doing a 3-week auction campaign. In reality, if he had more time, he should do it. He should have done really at least a 4 to 6 week auction campaign to try and capture as many people as he can, because you want to be on market or in the market for a period of time, because you have buyers that come and go in the market. And the average stat is something like, an average buyer will look at about 10 homes and be looking in the market for an average of, 3 months. But it's going to be, suburb dependent, suburb specific. So my personal experience is you want to be in the market for as long as possible without being stale. And that really comes down to average days on market. Normally, once you get to about that 4 to 5 week mark, you start to become stale in the market. Your listing's not at the top anymore on realestate.com. The people in that market, most of them have already seen that property because they've got alerts. So just keep that in mind. And that's pretty much really all I wanted to mention about that. The other consideration as well, which I mentioned, I think it was last week or the week before, was around the consideration for the agent. I have mentioned this in the program as well, but consider that you've got really 2 types of agents. You've either got an agent that you buy through, and then you got another one that you sell through. They're normally not the same person, or actually probably 99.99% of the time, they're not going to be the same person, because the person you buy from, the agent you buy from, if you're buying through an agent, is going to be somebody that's just doesn't really care about price, and they're motivated, and you just buy it cheap because you want to be buying under market. Whereas the person that, the agent that you're selling through, you want them to be trying to get the best price as, the highest price as possible. With that being said, you've got to do your research on the agent and have a look at the properties that they've sold and assess for yourself, use the valuation principles in the finance section, use them to assess yourself what they're selling and whether they've sold, above or below market. Did they achieve record prices? Was the owner of the property, did they negotiate on price, or did they get them, an extra 100, 200,000? You've got to be a bit careful because the last couple of years, nearly every agent has gotten over reserve because of how the market is. But now that the market in a lot of places has flatlined, now it's starting to wean out, the good agents from the not so good ones. So now's, I believe, for a lot of markets, it's a really good buying opportunity because you're buying off these agents that are desperate to get sales. And then, you find the good agents that don't need the sales. They're going to push hard to get the best price. You sell into a limited market or a market that's in undersupply, but grab a good agent and he'll push the price up. You just got to make sure you're within that affordability range. There's no point in having a buyer that really loves your house, but they can't get a loan because interest rates have gone up. You need cashed up buyers in the current market.